Oh, dear God, we've made it to Wednesday. Look at us. Because what day is it of the Whiskileaks scandal? Is it day 2? Is it day 3? I don't really know. But what I do know is that Donald Trump's most trusted people are just like him, a group of fucking liars. And what pains me about how this WikiLeaks scandal continues to unfold is that no one is going to be held accountable, particularly those that are lying under oath in front of Congress. But here is the reality, folks. This is an idiocracy combined with a griftocracy, combined with a just episode of Scandal, but written by idiots. Like, where are we? For the love of God. Can someone come and save us? Is there an Olivia Pope or a Cordelia Cup in the room with us? All right, dear friends, let's get into it. It is time for the Danielle Moodie Show. Happy Wednesday, damnation. I appreciate you, Tracy, in the comments, who's like, "Isn't a griftocracy a kleptocracy?" Yes, but I couldn't think of the name, so I was like, "What is it that these people do?" They steal, and it's a grift. But I appreciate you. Yes, it is a kleptocracy. So, where do we begin today, damnation? Well, where the whole world's attention has been over the last couple of days, which is on WhiskiLeaks. And bump, bump, bump. When we woke up this morning, guess who dropped more hot tea? The one and only Jeffrey Goldberg at The Atlantic, because he said, and I'm going to remix it for us, if you going to lie on me, I'm going to tell the truth about you. So basically, right, as cameras and microphones were placed into the faces of Pete Hegseth, the Secretary of Defense, and of Tulsi Gabbard, who was testifying before the Oversight Committee, and others, and Mike Waltz finding himself trying to clean up his mess on Fox News. Basically, what they all had in common was lie, 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 and just hope to God that no one discovers that you're lying. But there's a funny thing about receipts. When you keep them, you can pull them out at any time. And that is exactly what Jeffrey Goldberg did today in The Atlantic. My God. Jeffrey Goldberg from The Atlantic has just released the full text message chain. I have also provided in this post and thread below, checkmate. I mean, that would be if, in fact, you were playing chess and these idiots weren't eating Elmer's glue. But, folks, what this goes to show, because let's just be clear that Jeffrey Goldberg did his due diligence. He reached out to the CIA. He reached out to Tulsi Gabbard's team. He reached out to the White House. And he said, I'm going to go ahead and release the text unless you have some type of objection. And it all fell on non-listening ears. And then the little Barbie press secretary got back to him and said, while again, we state and continue to state that there was no classified information that was shared in this signal, we would rather you not share it. And he's like, okay, well, since there was nothing classified, according to you, I'm going to go ahead and share it. And it's just like, why do these people, why would you lie when you know that all you have to do inside of these signal threads or WhatsApp or whatever type of platform that you're using, all you have to do is screenshot? Like, I mean, do they not watch any of these cheating dating type shows where like these guys are sliding into women's DMs on all of social media, and all of these women do is just like, "Oh, your man was sliding into my DMs." No, he wasn't. Okay. Screenshot, send it. Now what you got to say? That's basically what he did. It was amazing. And so if you haven't seen it, and it's kind of small here, but basically, this is Michael Waltz, who is the senior national security advisor, going through his thoughts once again about what is happening, what's in these containers, what planes that they're using, etc., etc. I'm not going to read it all. Um, and then you have JD Vance, going off on Europe. You also had, if they pulled up the other text messages, was the alleged alcoholic Pete Hegseth going through and telling you what type of planes that they were using, what type of when they were dropping them, and like who some of the targets were. And guess what? It can all be fucking verified because the attack already happened. So is it going to be like a wild coincidence that Jeffrey Goldberg knew exactly what was happening because he told us that he was inadvertently added to this signal group? So I'm just confused about, is it the belief that if you just continue the lie as opposed to admitting, hey, here's the thing, we fucked up and we know we fucked up and we're just going to come forward and say that we fucked up so that this story doesn't have anywhere to go. But instead, they have turned what is probably one of the country's largest national security breaches into a multi-series saga at this fucking point. Because they continue to lie on this man, and rather than him say, "Oh, well, initially, I did not want to release the coordinates or the information because I did not want to potentially harm any military personnel that were in the field." But again, if you're going to call into question my journalistic integrity and say that my outlet is lying, then I have no choice but to come out and defend. And what is my defense? Using your own words against you on a messaging app. So here is Mike Waltz, who goes on Fox News. Breaking: Mike Waltz announces he spoke with at Elon Musk. Okay. And said tech experts are going to figure out how the Atlantic's Jeff Goldberg got into the Signal chat. Quote, "I can tell you for 100%, I don't text him. He wasn't on my phone." So now they're trying to turn this into some type of like mystery rather than just blatant stupidity, which is that you may not have added him, but whoever coordinated that Signal chat absolutely did. And you're trying to make it seem as if what? He somehow broke into this messaging. Folks, it's not about the editor being on the Signal chat. It's about the fact that you were on Signal to fucking begin with, which is a insecure, non-secure messaging app that the Pentagon had warned you about using a week prior in saying that it had vulnerabilities to leaks. So again, you want to make this a story about how Jeff Goldberg got onto Signal as opposed to why you bumbling idiots weren't using a proper skiff to hold a military mission in confidence. And probably because you don't even know what a skiff is. And probably you don't know what proper protocol is because you all think that you are above reproach. This reeks of hubris. It reeks of ego. It reeks of incompetency. And to quote Pete Buttigieg, who said that this is one of the biggest military fuck ups we have ever seen. My God. But, here's where we stand right now, which is that GOP Senator Roger Wicker from Mississippi wants expedited watchdog investigation into the Signal chat leak. Now, here's what I will say about this. Let us not applaud this man whatsoever from doing his job, because we have become so accustomed to the fact that Republicans are just spineless sycophants and mindless zombies in the world of MAGA, that all they know how to do is march forward behind Donald Trump and go wherever he directs them, even if that means over a cliff. So what you're supposed to do inside of a functional government is that you, being a part of a co-equal branch of government, are supposed to be a part of the checks and balances. So should we be applauding Wicker for doing his fucking job, which is, by the way, to keep Americans safe and to keep our intel safe, as the head of said committee? So I don't want to hear anybody saying, well, at least there's one Republican. That's supposed to be the bare minimum of your fucking job. I digress. Speaking to reporters at the Capitol after the most recent release, which was this morning, Wicker detailed the committee's path forward. He said he and ranking member Jack Reed, a Rhode Island Democrat, would be sending a letter asking the administration to expedite an investigation by the Defense Department's Office of Inspector General and provide the findings to the committee. The chairman said another letter to the administration would seek, quote, to get ground truth. And he noted that the committee wants to determine whether the published transcript is accurate. And my whole thing is, again, I'm pretty sure it's accurate. Otherwise, one, Goldberg would not have risked his own reputation and the reputation of the Atlantic by publishing it and put himself in a position and the paper in a position where it could be sued in this heightened climate of scrutiny and attacks on the media and freedom of the press. So once they finally discover, right, after this inspectors general, and again, who is this inspectors general going to be? Who appointed them? You know, what, because we know that when Donald Trump came into office, right, folks, it's only been 2 fucking months. Just want everybody to know that. I was thinking about it earlier. I'm like, came in January 20th. Okay. And oh, dear God, it's only March 26th. Sorry to add that shock to you. It was like cold water in the middle of the night being dumped on your bed, followed by, I don't know, piranha. Nonetheless, it is clear that these people all lied. It is clear that they broke protocol. It is clear that they put our national security at risk. We have no idea, by the way, who else could have accidentally been on this chain? And also, I said this yesterday, if you were here, I said, well, if I'm on a text group, which I'm on several, family, friends, etc., and there are numbers that I don't recognize, I always ask, who is this? And if I don't know said person or nobody else knows said person, then guess what I do? Exit the fucking group chat. So they did not even have, like, again, here were all the ways in which they were wrong, all the ways in which they fucked up. The basic thing that they could have done was say, who is this? I don't know this number. Guys, I don't think that this chat is as safe as we think it is. Let's move to X group. The lack of attention to detail is astonishing. That is what I will say. Astonishing. But before we dive into more news today, friends, if you have not subscribed to the Danielle Moodie channel here on YouTube, please do subscribe, like, and comment, and feed the fairies inside of the algorithm so that we can get this show into as many people's streams as possible. and to ensure that we continue to build up this brilliant and beautiful community that is Damn Nation. So do like, comment, and subscribe. All right, let's continue on, shall we? Because this was one of the funniest things I did see today. The founder of Signal, ladies and gentlemen, Moxie, wrote this. There are so many great reasons to be on Signal, now including the opportunity for the Vice President of the United States of America to randomly add you to a group chat for coordination of sensitive military operations. Don't sleep on this opportunity. Oh, Oh, it's like the commercials and the ads just wrote themselves. Signal is having a fantastic banner fucking week. Bravo to the founder of Signal for jumping on this extraordinary opportunity. It was hilarious. Um, do you know what's not funny though? I'll tell you this. Have you all seen the movie Wag the Dog? Do you remember that movie from the 90s? Am I dating myself? I probably am. Um, so Wag the Dog, I forget like the whole like story, but essentially there is a big scandal that is happening. And in order to divert said attention from one scandal that is unfolding inside of the White House, they bring in big time Hollywood producer Dustin Hoffman to essentially create and orchestrate a Hollywood level production of a war to bring the people of America together and turn the president who is enthralled in scandal to being a hero, right? Because if you're paying attention to the fact that we are in this made up war, then you're not paying attention to the scandal that is happening. It's an incredible movie, the 90s. So good. And so here's the thing. Today, after weeks of not uttering the word tariffs because of the volatility that has been happening on Wall Street, and I'm assuming that Donald Trump's donors have been saying, we are losing a lot of money. Because of your back and forth trade war, tariff war with our allies. Maybe kind of, oh, I don't know, stop. And if you remember a couple of weeks ago, Donald Trump did sit down with the heads of some of the biggest automotive makers in the country, Ford and GM, and another one who said, if you put these tariffs on steel and other things that we use to make our cars, we're going to get killed. So Donald Trump said, we will postpone, right? Until I think it was going to be April 2nd, because I guess April 1st would be too on the nose. So he's like, we're going to postpone until April 2nd. So if you've noticed, we haven't heard really much more about tariffs, right? Donald Trump's favorite word over the last, couple of weeks. So funny enough, guess what he drops news of today in the midst of said scandal, which is where I said, he's pulling a wag the dog. And so here we go. Dun 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 dun. Tariffs are back, baby. Trump to announce new auto tariffs amid rattled markets and a global trade war. If there is nothing that Donald Trump knows how to do, it is control the narrative inside of the media. If I get them back talking about tariffs and my war with Canada and Mexico and all of Europe, then guess what they won't be talking about? They won't be talking about the idiots that I have put in charge of our military and national security and what a fuck up we are, right? We won't be talking about that. Instead, we'll talk about the potential of, I don't know, a global fucking recession that could turn into a fucking national depression. Okay? So here's what he does. He announces today There are going to be new auto tariffs. He's going to tell you more on Wednesday because Donald Trump loves nothing more than a cliffhanger and getting people to speculate the rest of the news cycle of today about what is he going to say? What do you think he's going to, what have you heard on the ground? And then everything becomes about what Donald Trump wants you to talk about as opposed to what you actually need to fucking talk about. And yes, dear friends, appreciate you ask that because of this speculation, right? The markets are back to being down after the little bumps that they have been receiving. So again, what is the media going to turn their attention to? They're going to turn their attention to how scared the markets are and what this means for your 401k and your pensions. And again, what are you not going to be paying attention to? The fact that we have Scooby-Doo characters running the fucking country. I mean, it's just so easy, right? It's so easy to piece together what he is doing. And still, legacy media just can't connect the fucking dots. Donald Trump is planning to announce automobile tariffs on Wednesday afternoon in the Oval Office, barreling forward with a whiplash economic strategy. Also, whiplash economic strategy, how about disastrous, catastrophic, stupid economic strategy? Whiplash? I think we could have found a better word there, don't you? That has rattled markets and ignited a global trade war. That's accurate. Trump previewed his, quote, big special announcement because everything with him is big and special and important and distraction. So, a foreign-made cars with Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick during a White House East Room event for Women's History Month, where, by the way, he said the word fertilization and how he has some goodies in a new package for women, and it was totally fucking gross. But what was more disturbing than him saying that he wants to be known as the fertilization president during Women's History Month, this is an aside, by the way, is the fact that people laughed and applauded. Like they're just mindless fucking seals at this point. Anyway, we're gonna and then he says this at the end of the tariff conversation, quote, we're gonna go with the tariffs on cars. Doesn't that sound like you're a guest on Jeopardy? And it's like, I'm gonna go with tariffs on automobiles for 100. We're going to go with tariffs on cars? Does he think this is a game? Don't answer that. I know the answer. So, folks, like, this is just a lesson in distract and divert. You distract the media by creating another problem, and then you divert their attention to what is actually a major fucking problem. Now, let us be clear. Donald Trump's tariff wars and trade wars are a big, huge problem and are going to raise the costs of pretty much every goddamn thing in this country because what are tariffs? Nothing more than a national sales tax, right? That the people pay, not the manufacturers, okay? Just want to be clear with that because folks were seemingly confused when multiple economists, some of them Nobel Peace Prize, Nobel Prize winner economists came out and said Donald Trump's plans for the economy could spur a depression. But nobody wanted to listen to them. Oh, lordy, lordy, lordy. But here, folks, there's a lot of stuff also, which it's hard to keep your head on straight, and which is why I try and do the hard work of picking out the stories that I think you all need to know. But there's a lot of things happening, bubbling around in the courts right now. And if you know, this administration, last week, right, we were talking about the horrendous spectacle around their lies with regard to the people, brown men, supposedly Venezuelan, but we're also not fucking sure. Men that they picked up on the streets, shaved their heads, put them into all white sweatsuit outfits, and threw them on a plane and sent them to a horrific prison in El Salvador, where we have seemingly done a deal with the president of El Salvador to use his torture facilities as a for-profit prison that we don't have to have any responsibility or accountability of, because guess what? It's not on American soil. Well, breaking, DC Circuit on a 2-to-1 vote have kept the temporary restraining orders, TROs, in place in the Alien Enemies Act case. The appeals court denies the Trump administration's request to stay the temporary restraining order issued by Chief Judge Boasberg, the judge that they are defaming right now, and the Barbie press secretary has called a Democratic activist, even though he was appointed by Bush and elevated to his current position by Obama. Anyway, so this move would allow the Aliens Enemies Act removals to restart, which now they're not going to. But again, if you recall, it was Tom Homan, the quote unquote border czar, who said he doesn't care what the judges say. He's going to do whatever he wants to do. So he said he going to keep loading the planes, load the planes, and get these people out of there. Doesn't matter if some of them are, I don't know, innocent or American citizens or here illegally. That doesn't matter at all. And also, the judge has asked for the data, the information on who was aboard these planes. And now the White House has said most recently they are utilizing a secrets and privacy policy that they cannot release the data because it's classified and this, that, and the other thing. I said this to y'all yesterday. I don't believe they have the data. And the only reason that I believe that they don't have the data is because I don't think that they care enough about these people to even record who they are or where they scoop them up from. I don't think that they, much in the same way that they are utilizing a platform like Signal, which is supposed to have your messages disappear after a certain amount of time. I also believe that they do not, as Donald Trump has famously said, write anything down or have any type of data or Excel files or anything because they don't want the shit to be tracked. If you remember, Mark Meadows during January 6th was said to be in his office by Cassie Hutchinson, who under oath said he was burning papers in his office. That is basically what they were doing by operating on Signal, and it's what I believe that they are doing in this entire government by not having things written down. So, in effect, Judge Boasberg says, you need to give me the data. They say, no, it's classified or it's private or it's secret. But in reality, I personally believe that it's going to come out that they don't fucking have it. And that it is part incompetence, but also their incompetence, it could be possibly part of their larger strategy of mobster movements inside of this administration. Don't say nothing, don't see nothing. And then we consistently all together lie and gaslight because who gonna check us? Just my thoughts. So what else is happening? right? As we again are being distracted, you always have to think to yourself, while we're over here looking at the bouncing ball of the signal debacle, what else are we missing that they are up to, right? Our attention can only hold but for so long. Well, here's a little something that they are up to. Jack Jenkins over at Religion News has reported this. At the National Religious Broadcasters Conference, oddly specific group, an evangelical Christian gathering, activists openly debated plans to overturn same sex marriage. Experts say the threat isn't individual efforts, but a broad campaign, which is how Roe v. Wade was overturned. Remember, if you go to my blue sky, I have pinned the Project 2025 tracker so that you can see in these 2 months and 6 God-forsaken days that we have been living in this regime, how much of Project 2025 has actually come to real life. And it is a lot. But what kills me about this is that their strategy, which took 40 years to come up with, worked. So they're just going to rinse and repeat and apply it to all of the advancements that have been made in this country that they do not want. Having helped to engineer the demise of Roe v. Wade after half a century of anti-abortion activism, attendees at the National Religious Broadcasters Conference openly discussed plans to make shorter work of Oberfeld v. Hodges, the landmark 2015 Supreme Court ruling that legalized same-sex marriage nationwide. Quote, Oberfeld is on very shaky ground. Matthew Staver, founder of the conservative Christian nonprofit legal group Liberty Counsel, which leaders describe as a ministry, told the audience of one panel at the conference, quote, it's not a matter of, in my opinion, if it will eventually be overturned, but when it'll be overturned. So if you think that they are done, I just want to remind folks that they are just getting started. They are just getting started. Again, first they come for the undocumented, those that are not here legally. Then they have escalated into those who are legal residents, but they don't like their content of melanin. So then they pull the legal status of those people. Then they start to use the Customs Border Protection, right, as their own little militia, deporting, detaining a whole bunch of people. Then they turn to trans folks, right? They say, we're a country of just men and women. And so we're going to roll out legislation that says it's illegal for you to do this, to be this, to show this. They got education because they don't want you to think. They got the EPA because they want you to stay sick. They put RFK Jr. in front of HHS because they definitely want you to stay sick. They got in Social Security. They're doing this, that, and the other thing. And now they're coming for all of the advancements that have been made. No one and nothing is safe. That is what I want to stick in to everyone's mind. Exactly what was said here, and I'm going to say it again. Quote, it's not a matter of, in my opinion, if it will eventually be overturned, but when it'll be overturned. Because the thing about the Republican Party is that they think in the long term. They're willing to wait it out. 20, 30, 40, 50 years. And then they strike once the opportunity presents itself. Donald Trump is their opportunity to roll back the progress of the 20th century. Fuck it, the 19th century. So if you think that they're not going to come for everything, oh, they're not going to do this. I just reported on the fact that last week we have brought back segregation, make segregation great again. And if you think it's only going to end at the federal facilities, folks, just wait. They are warming up. I say all this to say because, next week, April 5th, is a coordinated country nationwide protest that is going to be happening. And folks need to show the fuck up the way that the people have showed up in Turkey, even though Erdogan let out a sonic boom that basically made people's ears bleed and had folks scatter because he used military grade weapons that aren't to be used against civilians. They're not even to be used in war anymore against his own fucking people. And if you think that this administration is not taking notes from how Erdogan and others are handling the protests that are erupting in their country, know that you need to prepare yourself. If you are choosing to go out on these front lines, make sure that you are prepared for being maced, for sonic booms. Just get yourself together and make sure people know where you are. You have folks' phone numbers written down if you are arrested on your arm or on your person. Be smart about the way that you're going to choose to go out, because I'm telling you, this administration is waiting, salivating at the opportunity to roll out the fucking tanks. So I'm not telling folks to not go out and protest. I am saying be prepared with how you go out. And here, thank you, Susan. April 5th, nationwide peaceful protest, www.5050.1. So make sure that you check that out. In a wonderful turn of karma, this has happened. So we were just speaking about Judge James Boasberg, right? And him asking for the data on the planes. Well, guess who's been assigned to the Signalgate, aka Whiskygate, lawsuit? Boasberg. American Oversight v. Hegseth et al. Case assigned to Chief Judge James E. Boasberg. You can't make this shit up, folks. And this is what Kyle Cheney, reporter, said. You really can't script this. The same week, the Trump administration invokes the state's secrets privilege to deny Boasberg info. He is assigned the lawsuit over the Trump administration's apparent carelessness with state secrets. Boasberg, already assessing the Trump administration's handling of national security under the Alien Enemies Act, is now handling a case stemming from the metastasizing scandal of Signalgate. His office confirms the case was randomly assigned. I don't know if he has bad luck or good luck, but God, if I were him, I'd buy a whole lot of sage. But again, while all of this chaos is happening that we are enveloped in and paying attention to, folks, what else is happening? Well, this. The Department of Health and Human Services has abruptly canceled more than $12 billion in federal grants to states that were being used for tracking infectious diseases, mental health services, addiction treatment, and other urgent health issues. States were told Monday that they could no longer use grants that were funding infectious disease management and addiction services. They want you sick, undereducated, broke, and desperate. Why? Because you are easier to control. These are the things that we consistently have to be asking ourselves while we're paying attention to the bullshit, chaos, shitstorm that they are conjuring up over there. What is happening over here? So, what happens when you cut mental services? What happens? And these are the same, I just want to make this clear. These are the same motherfuckers who tell us that guns are not the problem in this country as to why we suffer from so many mass shootings, but that it's mental health issues that are the problem. So then if mental health issues are the reason why our children are used as target practice for AR-15s, then why in God's good name would you cut mental health fucking services? Do you see? So when again another shooting happens, because it will, that grabs national attention, because I'm certain that there are things happening all over this country, but we know that we only pay attention to mass shootings when 5, 10, 15, 20 people are shot and killed at one time. Because if we reported on every 4, 5, 6, or 7 people that are killed in a mass shooting, well, then what else? We wouldn't have time to cover anything else. But my point being, dear friends, is that if I'm a reporter and you're going to see fit to lie to my fucking face about the reasons behind mass shootings in this country being because people, individuals, suffer from mental health issues, and then you are going to see fit to back the gutting of mental health and addiction services, I'm going to call you out. I'm going to call bullshit. And I'm going to make you defend your fucking lies to the American people. But do you think that that's what our legacy media outlets do? Oh, no, it's not. It is not what they do. Particularly right now, folks, you had the leaders from NPR and PBS sitting in front of congressional hearing today talking about the fact that, oh, NPR said, well, we should have done more on Hunter Biden case. What more could you have done? There was actually nothing there. Is Hunter Biden an elected official? So why are you capitulating to this bullshit that you could have done more? This is why you all are here. This is why you have chosen to support independent media outlets and abandon cable news and different outlets, because in order to save their own asses, they are telling these motherfuckers what they want to hear. Oh, we'll do better. We'll double down on our nonsensical reporting of made up stories in order to make you feel better so that we can keep our government funding coming in. Much in the same way that Columbia University bent the knee to the Trump administration, there is never any guarantee that you're going to get your funding back just because you decide to lay down for them. There's no contract that they won't blow up or ignore. So save yourself the trouble and actually double down on your fucking convictions, knowing that you are probably going to go down anyway. But at least you go down with some fucking integrity. It's just an idea. I tell you what, you know, but in some places, friends, in some far off places in the world, they actually do hold people accountable. It's shocking because we were told and led to believe that you can't possibly hold a former president accountable for any crimes. What would it do to the country if you actually held them accountable? We were told everything would go up in smoke. So, in order to preserve our country, our democracy, we must allow Donald Trump off the hook. Well, I guess other countries actually don't see it that way. And so I close out today's show with this. Majority of Brazil's Supreme Court panel accepts coup charge against ex-President Bolsonaro. Majority of a panel of justices of Brazil's Supreme Court has decided that they are going to move forward with charging this criminal who, guess what, folks, pulled a Donald Trump to stage a coup to stay in office after he lost the 2022 elections. And instead of the Supreme Court in Brazil turning around and giving future presidents absolute immunity, this Supreme Court of Brazil said, you know what we're going to do? We're actually going to show the world what democracy and fucking action looks like, and that no person, not even an ex-president, is above the fucking law. So Bolsonaro is headed to trial. Imagine that. Just think for a moment where we would be right now if the Supreme Court, if Merrick Garland had decided on day one of his term as Attorney General to put not the integrity of institutions above action, but to take action to preserve the integrity of our institutions. Imagine where we would be today if on January 20th, 2021, on Biden's first day, after his choice for Attorney General was picked, he got to work. Guess who would not have had time to announce his candidacy? Guess who would have had to be putting his attentions and his resources into preparing himself for trial? Because I'm not saying the trial would have happened instantly, but I'm saying by the time that the election would have crept up, he would have already been in court. But Merrick Garland had decided to wait a year plus before appointing special counsel Jack Smith. He had already wasted time running down the fucking clock that he knew Donald Trump was going to run down further with more appeals that would have us reach up against a timeline that we knew was fixed, which was the 2024 presidential election. Folks, it takes two to tango, as the saying goes. We are not just here because of the Republican Party's rabid power grab. We're here because of a complicit Supreme Court and a feckless Biden administration. I'm glad that Biden was out, though, this week at the premiere of Othello, because he sure did preside over a Shakespearean tragedy that we are currently in. That is it for me today, dear friends, at the Danielle Moodie Show. I want to thank all of you who provided fantastic donations today. As I say, this is independent media, and you all allow me to do the work that I do because I don't take corporate donations. I don't take money from Russia. I don't take money from anyone except the lovely folks like yourselves who watch this program and decide to donate and contribute, whether it is here with super stickers and super thanks, or if it's by subscribing to the Damn Digest over on Substack. But I thank you all so very much. And speaking of Substack, I have a brand new piece that is up right now. A little lighthearted, if you will. Have you all watched Netflix's The Residents? If you have watched it, then go ahead and read my piece that is up now, entitled Netflix's The Residents, Disrespect, and the Trump White House. It is up now. And if you haven't watched The Residents, it is filled with spoiler alerts. So be fair warned. But as always, dear friends, power to the people and to all the people power. Get woke, stay sane, and in these extraordinarily dangerous times, dear friends, do stay safe. I will see you back here tomorrow, 5 p.m. Eastern. Be well.